Zach Spade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're going to head with our utility pouch, our cinch bag, and I've got the two pieces that we glued and sewed together on the last episode, and I have put a stitch across the top here that I didn't do in the last episode, so I went ahead and finished that. So this is ready to put together. I've also got a light colored gray lace that I'm going to use for the cinch lace. So come on in and let's get started. Alright, so it's been approximately 15 minutes since I glued the edges with contact cement, and again I've got it face to face, so I'll be stitching on the back side. I've got probably 6 inches of thread pulled out of my hand crank machine that I used in the last episode. So I'll put my presser foot down, and I'm using the edge of my presser foot right here as my guide on the edge of my bag. So I'll put my presser foot down, and again with this machine, what's nice about it is you can go as slow or as quickly as you're comfortable with. Again, I want to keep this edge of the bag as close to the edge of this presser foot as I can as I'm stitching it. Now at this point, if I did not glue those edges together with contact cement, they would definitely, this bottom piece would be pushing out. Double check the back side. Everything looks good. I'll continue on. So I get to the end, then I'll leave my needle up, lift my presser foot, turn my piece. Looks like I could go one more stitch. Lift my presser foot, turn my piece, lower my presser foot perpendicular to my last line, and continue stitching at the bottom. Again, the more comfortable you get with the machine, the faster you can sew with it. And again, it's just how comfortable do you get with the machine. Got to the end, I'll turn it again, lower my presser foot so I can stitch up the other side, and continue around. Now I did fill my bobbin before I started because I wanted to make sure I didn't run out during my stitching. You can see the The longer I go, the more comfortable I'm getting, the faster I'm stitching. I want to make sure my presser foot is square too, so it doesn't try to pull my piece in at an angle. Now I can get toward the end here where I've got my 4 thicknesses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my needle up, raise my presser foot, try to hold my piece steady. I'm going to turn my presser foot 180 degrees, lower it back down, and then I'm going to go backwards. That presser foot will pull the stitching backwards, and that'll be my lock stitch. So I can go ahead and raise my presser foot again, turn it another 180 degrees. That puts it back the way I was stitching before. And I can finish that stitch off. Now that stitch has been locked in. Raise my presser foot. I want to pull this down manually so I get plenty of slack to pull out, because I need to cut that off and give me some extra here to tie, because I like to lock those sides in, or those ends in, when I get finished. You won't see them because they'll be on the inside. So what I'll do is I'll take those 2 strings that I had hanging out at the beginning and tie those over on the side. And I'm just tying a square knot. And what that does is that locks that thread in on the ends also. So you're kind of doing it, kind of locking those in twice. Once with the lock stitch, and then also with the stitching or the tying at the end here. And it just makes it a much stronger stitch when you can tie it at the end like that. And then just cut the excess off. And if you're going to do very much stitching, these little cut-off clipper scissors are very, very handy when you're dealing with thread. So I always pull my thread back out about 6 inches again, so that way I'm ready for the next time I come over and do my stitching. So let's go on over to the workbench and we'll continue. Alright, so we're back over to our work surface, and what we want to do is now take this completed, and you can see my stitching goes all the way around except for the top. We want to take that, we want to turn that inside out. So I'll take my corners and do those first. So I'm going to take my finger and push that down inside, and use my other hand that's inside the bag to help turn those inside out. So I can turn that around again, put my finger right on the point of that stitched corner, and on the inside I'm opening that up and pushing it around my finger or my thumb, whatever I'm pressing on that. And what that does, as you can see it come out here, what that does is that opens that up and helps make that corner pop out. Then I can turn it inside out the rest of the way. And you can kind of see it coming into what it's going to look like. And I can stretch that out. Kind of flatten it, because you've got a pretty good size thickness here at the top, especially when you have both sides stitched together. So you can, hopefully you can see the seam that I have inside, about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch to maybe 3/16, not quite a 1/4 of an inch. But you can see my seam right here. Got a good tight outside seam on both sides. Stitching's nice and tight. Now I'm ready to go to my lacing for my cinch, my drawstring, and I've got some gray, almost white lace, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have nice even pieces. I don't want to get a thin piece, I want them to match. So I'll pull another one out here, see if I can get one to match the first. Those are nice and even. You get down toward the end there, double check it. It looks nice. They're about the exact same length. So I'll set the rest of this over to the side. And when I get, normally I buy lace in bulk in assorted colors. Then when I get it home, I'll sort through it and then put all of my light gray and white in one bag, my tan in another bag, my dark brown in another bag, my black in another bag. So I get it all sorted out so it's easy for me to use later. So the way I want to lace this up is, let's go ahead and take this one end. First end will come through each hole, inside to out, outside to in, and you can see how that ends up. We'll go around the other side, outside to inside, just like the other side, inside to out, outside to in, and inside to out to finish up, just like we did the other side. Now what I want to do is I want my finished side of my lace to be facing out, and I want these to end up on the end fairly even. So I'll show you as I pull this through and I keep that finished edge, that smooth edge of that lace out. I may have to pull some of that through a little bit, one side or the other, so I can keep it fairly even. Now I don't need it that long, obviously, so as long as I get close, I'm going to cut it off anyway. Then I take my second piece and I want to go just the opposite, so I'll go outside to in, and I'll have to pull that back so I can get my lace started, inside out, just like I did on the first one. And this is where, you know, depending on the size lace you use, is where you're going to really decide the size of the holes. I already checked the size of lace that I had, so I knew that I was going to need 1/4 inch holes. So I already punched my holes in the last video in the first steps that we did. So I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to go the last one on this side, go inside out again. And if you want to, like I said, you're going to trim this off anyway. If you want to, you could make a point on your lace if it makes it easier for you to get it through. My holes are big enough that I don't need to do that. So you can see I'm going through the same holes, so I end up with double lace in each hole. So I'll pull that, and what you want to do is the opposite. You want them tied off on the opposite ends. So I'll come back around the outside in, the inside out, and I can go ahead and pull that to where that gives me the round end here, just like I did on the other one over here. And then I'll go from the outside in again, and again I'm just going over the top of the first piece. And then my last one is going to be from inside out. I'll push that through that hole. And then I want to make sure that those are snug with my bag open. So I can go ahead and how much of this do I want hanging down once it's closed or open. Now remember, they're going to get a little longer when you close the bag, not that much, but as it's open, that's when you want to determine how much of this do I want to tie off. Because once you close the bag, they will get a little longer. So you want to tie that off together, those two pieces, and then what I can do is measure that so that I get them fairly close on the other side. So you don't want one side 6 inches long and the other side 4 inches long while it's open. So you want to kind of go by the other side and get a good idea how far up it is. Then you can go ahead and pull those together and snug that knot down. And as you can see, those are pretty much even in length. Now I can go ahead and cut those off. Now I'm just going to leave about 1 inch on each one and cut them at a slight angle, just as a preference, no reason other than that. Now you can see I have both of my laces going the opposite way. I've got rounded on this end here, rounded on this end, pulling here, and as I pull those together, my bag cinches up. So I can put whatever I need to in this, and if I hang that off of my belt or a gun or a knife or anything, hanging off of anything, a hook on my belt, that's going to keep that cinched closed. If I want to open it, all I have to do is grab each end of the lace and pull on it, and that opens my bag. So put whatever I want to in there, whatever, dump it out, grab my lace and cinch it up. And again, as tight as that is, that'll keep that bag cinched up. So whatever I put in there, ammo, my phone, whatever, it's not going to fall out. So there's the completed bag that we made in two-tone with the finished leather in that sand color, the black pigskin, stitched, turned inside out to be finished, put our lace on, and there's our cinch. Keeps it closed. So there's our finished project. I appreciate you coming along, spending some time with me again. Hopefully, if it's your first time, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Like I always say, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.